Welcome to the Bloody Married podcast, where we talk about all things horror while drinking a Bloody Mary. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Tami, and we are totally married. We got our Bloody Marys.
And with us, we have a totally rad special guest. He's a filmmaker who's recently directed the feature film, The Garageland Chronicles, along with numerous other short films, commercials, and music videos, both locally and nationally. He's also worked second unit camera on the hit TV show Z Nation for its entire run. We have collaborated on many films together as well. He's been my assistant director on some short films and also acted in a few. He's one of the raddest filmmakers in the region and all around good dude. I'd like to welcome Shaun Springer to the podcast.
Yay!
Yay! Woo!
And thank you for the Virgin Bloody Mary. It's actually really tasty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad you enjoy it. And
It's so good.
You have the Psycho one too. You have the Hitchcock.
Oh, I know. I
Or
love
not
that.
the birds.
Yeah, the birds. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's so cool.
That's what it is.
Because I was noticing, I was like, which one's mine? And then yours is the elk.
Mine's no lie.
No lie. Oh,
His
no
is-
lie. Okay.
Yeah, and mine's from California.
So once I saw yours, I was like rethinking, like, oh my gosh, does someone have a local Hitchcock themed restaurant that I don't know about?
that would be cool.
That would be dope.
We're all opening that now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But cool. Thanks for being here.
I'm really
stoked to talk about the Nightmare movies.
I'm really excited. Nightmare on Elm Street's like literally like my favorite thing.
Woohoo!
in the world, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you're a perfect person to be here for the ranking of them then.
Absolutely. So
They're all number one.
Done. End of podcast.
Yeah, they're all equal.
they're all equal.
Yeah.
Are they though?
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah. Each one more equal than the other.
There's some trash in there.
Yeah.
But anyways,
All right. So we are going to have a little interview real quick before
boy.
we jump into the rankings.
The
so
heat is on.
what is your favorite horror film?
You know, that's always the hardest because I don't pick favorites, but I have to, because I guess my go-to is always Evil Dead 2, but that's an easy one because a lot of people pick that. So I also have to say Trick or Treat, the Halloween one with Sam, and Michael Dougherty's film, I think 2008, 2007, 2008. I love that film. That's like that's my favorite Halloween film. I watch that every Halloween. But yeah, and then there's a couple of classics like Psycho and stuff. And I got a puppy here helping me out.
Cash,
Yeah.
our on-set dog.
Yeah.
Is making sure everyone feels welcome.
Yeah. So is it too cheesy to say Evil Dead 2?
no, that's
Okay.
my
That's his
favorite.
favorite.
That's what I say all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
it's a great choice. It's a great choice.
that's true.
It's a balance of everything in that horror
Yeah.
comedy. It's beautiful
Yeah. It's just an amazing film. Yeah.
and a lot of blood.
Yeah. It's actually a film. We'll get to this when we get to Nightmare on Elm Street stuff, but it's actually like a horror movie you can watch with kids. I know that sounds really bad, but you know, it's so goofy. Like younger viewers, I don't know. Like I'd be the type of person, if I had kids, I'd show that to like my 8-year-old.
Oh yeah, of course.
Aside from some boobs and stuff in the beginning, like it's perfect.
I was
It
watching
is.
horror movies at 9.
There you go.
So
Well,
Yeah.
when did you start showing your son horror movies?
not until he was like 14 he wouldn't watch them, and
Oh, really?
we made it a deal that he would watch Scream 4
Yeah.
if I watched Edward Scissorhands, which
Yeah.
is the scariest movie for me of all time,
Oh, really?
and I cannot watch it.
Oh,
And
wow.
I made it 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and I had to turn it off, and he watched all of Scream 4, and he was like, well, I watched Scream 4 and you didn't even make it through Edward Scissorhands 10 minutes.
Oh, that's funny.
That is strange.
Huh.
But and then when we went to the Night of the Witch trailer
Yeah.
shoot,
Hmm.
he got to like see it for the first
Right.
time, and after that he was like,
Oh,
scary
yeah.
movies aren't that scary
Sure.
when you know what, watching a cheerleader get murdered a bunch
Oh,
of
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
now he's fine.
He's desensitized to it. He's fine.
But me at 9, I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
I'm scared shitless, but it's so awesome.
Well, my sisters were much older than me, so they were watching horror movies, and I was like, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7. That's when I was first
Yeah.
kind of exposed to the Elm Street movies. And I think Elm Street 2 is like one of the first movies I remember watching on TV, period.
Mm.
And I remember like watching it and at first being scared, but I think my dad said, oh, it's all just fake. And then I got really interested in how they made it.
Yeah.
And then like, I think like whether it was Showtime or whatever we were watching them on, they would have like the making of, like a little 15-minute making of afterwards. So
Well, that's a good lead into the next question.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
How'd you get into filmmaking?
I was basically doing it since I was a kid. I would pick up my dad's old video camera and I would pretend to make films. And we made a series of horror films, although we never actually had any film on the camera. Me and all the kids in the neighborhood made like a whole series of horror movies. We had like a sign. I don't remember the name of the movie, but we would pretend to film the sign, and then we'd change like part 2, and then we'd cross it out and say part 3, and then cross out part 4.
That's really awesome.
Did you invite like the neighborhood to watch you do these?
They all just all the kids just kind of came together, and we were just running around with the camera, and
that's fun.
And then I had when I was in junior high and high school, I had a public access TV show, and we just did dumb little sketches and stuff. And I'm sure we did like a Nightmare on Elm Street sketch at some point, because I had I think for maybe 3rd or 4th grade, I went as Freddy Krueger for Halloween.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. We have like the same story.
Yeah.
Like I did the same thing, except I put a tape in the camcorder.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then I also, it was back when you could dress up terrifying and go to school on Halloween. I dressed up as Freddy one year and Jason one year, things like that.
You could still do that. Yeah. Well, and I remember even like in like elementary school, they had the Young Writers competition, and I just wrote a Freddy Krueger story.
That's awesome.
And I would love to find it and read it. I think up until they just recently rebuilt my elementary school, but up until that, they still had all the books, all the stories, because they like put them in a little bound book. And I remember going back to it like years ago, and it just said it was all about Freddy killing people.
That's awesome.
And they didn't go, James, for his one like big, like one of the big, not SATs, but like the big test that they prepare kids for.
Yeah.
He wrote a story about a gingerbread killing people who ate his family.
Oh.
And it was a really good story, except for they're like, perhaps the subject matter is a little dark.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, you should find that script and then just adapt it now. And then
it'd probably be fantastic.
But kind of
would be better than the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
yes, it would. But going off of that, if you had a chance to direct any horror remake you wanted, what would it be and why?
So this is going to seem too easy, but they talked about they're potentially going to reboot Nightmare on Elm Street again.
Yeah,
I hope so.
It's always kind of in the air. I would love to do that, and I have an idea for it that's pretty fantastic. And I won't say what it is, but specifically. But I think if you go back to the original notes that Wes Craven had about how he kind of like came up with the whole idea, I think there's a real interesting kernel of a story. It would be very different, where it wouldn't necessarily be about teenagers being killed. But I would suggest everybody go back to some of the original inspirations. I think there's a kernel for a real unique idea. And we'll talk probably more about it very soon when we talk about the remake. But I think there's a great idea in there. Just and you could honor the original material that inspired Wes Craven. So anybody who knows kind of the lore of it, will know that there's kind of these. I don't know if they probably were actually tabloid stories that Craven was inspired by, but if you went back to those stories and tried to adapt those, that might be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 10 years since the remake, and that's too much time that's went by without having any Nightmare on Elm Street. So they definitely need fresh ideas and fresh perspectives if they're going to make a movie or a series.
Agreed. Yeah. And we can just pretend that one doesn't exist.
Well, I hardly remember it, to be honest. Like, I don't know. Like, I always forget that it exists.
Me too. Anyways, let's just get into it and get on with our rankings.
All right.
Let's rank the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and Sean, we'll start with you.
Oh, sure. Okay, so we
start
worst.
at the bottom.
Yeah, start at the bottom.
Worst.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, I mean, the worst is the remake. Is it 2009 or 2010? 2010 remake. I don't know what else that can be said about this aside from it's just boring. It's kind of a boring film. It's very disjointed. I know some of the history behind the production of it was that it was one of those films where they kind of shot it and then the producers kind of messed with it afterwards. I don't think they were happy with kind of where it went. I guess we can do spoilers.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. And we're not. Yeah. This podcast we spoil everything.
Okay. Cool.
Spoil.
Originally, there was going to be. either it was going to be completely said or was going to be unspoken of whether or not Freddy was actually innocent.
Yeah.
So they played a whole side of that
They
you
did.
get a hint of
sure.
it in it. But I believe in the original version, there was supposed to be like a surprise ending where Freddy was actually innocent. At least that's an interesting.
That would have been better.
Yeah, why not?
Right.
You know,
They did hint at it.
Yeah.
And then
and then they just
went
kind of throw it
backwards.
away.
The movie has all these little things that go nowhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a lot. I will say there's one or two good ideas. The micro naps idea, where the characters, there's this idea that like in your mind you take these tiny little naps and it kind of cuts between the real world and the dream world. That's cool. There's a couple of moments like when the character's in the convenience store and it's flashing between like the
that one was
boiler
good,
room
yeah.
and stuff. That's cool. I like Jackie Earle Haley. I will actually say, like, I thought he was an interesting replacement. I think he tried his best. When he's his worst, if you watch from a filmmaking perspective, when he's at his worst is when they're giving him ADR lines. And that's where they've gone back and they basically, because you can tell that again, this movie is very disjointed, where you can tell they like mixed up things. They tried to add humor to it where I don't think it needed it. So there's whole moments where like Freddy, like the main example is Freddy's chasing the person down the hallway and they do a play on the mushy stairs from the original. And the person's like caught in the goo running down the hallway. And just off screen, Freddy says, "How's this for a wet dream?"
Yeah.
And it's a callback to a dumb line. It takes away any attention from the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like 5 or 6 examples of those where they just like cut in weird little quips and stuff.
Yeah.
I think he was probably scarier at first. I'm not saying he's a replacement for Robert Englund. I'm just saying that I personally thought he did the best job probably possible.
I don't think he did.
Oh, okay, no, that's cool. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Well, I
would say
we'll get to our opinions on that.
I would say he's not supported by a good script.
No.
His performance
Yeah.
was hampered in the edit. I don't think most of the people around him are very good.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate because again, it's like my favorite series. I would have loved to have this be cool. I would have loved to. When the first trailers came out, it seemed pretty interesting.
It did. Yeah. I remember when they announced that he was going to play Freddy, I was excited.
Yeah, for sure. But having said that, no, it's not great. But I don't think the performance is his fault.
Yeah.
I do like the makeup. I know some people don't like some of the CGI. Some of the CGI doesn't hold up. God, there's that horrible where they try to remake too many of the moments and they don't do anything to elevate them. They actually like take every moment and they should have like, especially the Freddy coming out through the wall.
That was bad.
Yeah.
That was so bad.
It's like PlayStation 1 graphics.
Yep.
Like
that was like an
bad.
afterthought. Like,
Oh yeah.
Quick, we got to get this in before it's released.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. It's kind of boring. It's kind of forgettable.
It really is.
I actually often forget that they made a remake.
Yeah. That's what I was telling her when we were watching it. I was like, whenever we watch this, I don't remember it. Like, I don't remember who gets killed or how he dies at the end because you forget it.
Right. It's very forgettable.
Well, and unfortunately, it's not always the actor's fault. It's like none of the kids are that interesting. I think I forget his character name, but Kyle Gallner is the actor who's kind of Nancy's best friend in it. I thought he was decent. You know, to be fair, I don't think they had much to work with, but you know, and it goes dark in weird places. It goes very dark in places.
It does.
So I don't know. It's just not fun to watch. It's just boring.
It's a chore to sit through that thing.
It really was.
Yeah. I mean, we're just looking at our phones because we had just watched it last year.
Yeah, because we got it for our wedding.
And I had not seen it since it came out.
Who hated you that much to get like, is that like, instead of like raising their hand to say they object to this marriage, they just slowly like slipped it into like the table of gifts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I actually believe it was on our registry because we just wanted to have them.
Yeah.
Have like some movies, but now I think about it, we got to go back and look and see who gave this to us and maybe send them a stern handwritten letter.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Well, what's your next one?
So next up is Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. The funny thing about these films is my ranking changes all the time. There was probably a time where Freddy's Dead was my favorite, probably when I was a kid. I remember going, like, one of my friends had a birthday party that his mom took us all to go see it in theaters. We saw it like with the 3D in theaters, and it was like amazing.
Yeah.
I remember at the time loving the lore that they added to it. Like, oh my God, like Freddy had a daughter.
Yeah.
And then later on, you kind of watch a little more about like kind of the filmmaking and kind of what they were trying to do. The director, Rachel Taglier, was very inspired by Twin Peaks, which I've never watched. I've never watched the series. I know a lot of people are huge fans of it. I've just never been exposed to it, but I believe her whole inspiration for it was to do a Nightmare on Elm Street movie in like the world of Twin Peaks and the style of Twin Peaks. I don't know how successful that was, but it's definitely a weird movie, and it's a weird kind of looking movie.
Yeah.
It looks almost like a TV movie, just visually.
Yes.
It's still really fun. I would say everything after the remake, I still love every entry in the series.
Yeah.
I will admit that, but the ranking changes a little bit. But there's also a ton of deleted scenes. It's another kind of disjointed film.
It is. It very much is.
Yeah. And I haven't seen all the deleted scenes, but there's whole moments in the film that even when we were kids, me and my friends used to make fun of, because there's like conversations between two characters, and all of a sudden you'll just be like, wait, did I miss something? Because they cut out like a 3-minute scene all of a sudden.
Yeah. I remember watching it thinking that it's edited very poorly.
And it's also, I think I have to double check, but this and Elm Street 5, like only 3 people die in the movies. So I think what's interesting about the Elm Street movies in general is they have a really low body count compared to a lot of other films, like kind of horror films.
Well, he's a secretive, almost cowardly type of killer.
Yeah,
like he goes after kids, and he won't expose himself really.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So he doesn't kill as many.
That's true.
I didn't think about that until you said it.
And he definitely goes after the kids with the most like baggage.
Yeah, he does.
He's not. Yeah. So it's definitely, there's some funny moments, but I don't think it holds up as well.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
You know how I feel about that one.
Yeah.
But I definitely respect your ranking so far. It's getting close to spot on.
Yeah. The next, Freddy versus Jason. This is another entry where time has not been kind to it in some ways.
Yeah.
I think I listened to your guys' Friday the 13th podcast. And I don't remember if you guys had this one kind of much lower, or if it was more in the middle.
I think she had it higher, and I had it in the middle, and I think that it still holds up. But
I think it's fun. But just from like a filmmaking aspect, it's a little cheesy. It's directed by Ronnie Yu, who had just done Bride of Chucky. He basically got this film because Bride of Chucky was so successful. To me, it's pretty satisfying because it's basically just a Nightmare on Elm Street movie that Jason kind of appears in.
Oh yeah,
cool.
That's what in our Jason one, I was like, it's like Freddy's movie but with a Jason cameo.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it starts with him narrating it,
right?
So it's kind of sets the tone as this is a Freddy film.
Yeah,
like predominantly.
Yeah, totally. The final battle between Freddy and Jason, I've probably rewatched that more than I've actually seen the whole film.
Yeah.
That's totally fun. That's everything I wanted it to be as a kid. That final battle.
Oh yeah.
There's
so much blood.
Yeah. I do appreciate that they kind of have a couple of run-ins throughout the film. I think that it's fun that they definitely revisit some themes kind of from the Elm Street films, the Rohypnol drug and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't think time's been as kind to it.
Yeah.
But I guess next I have Dream Child, which at one point was probably my favorite one.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't know how this, again, Elm Street's my favorite horror movie franchise.
Yes.
And I think yours is Friday the 13th and is yours Halloween?
Correct.
Okay, so we have, so this is like a meeting. This is the meeting of the minds.
It is. Yeah.
It's unique because only 3 people die. I like that it kind of concludes the the Dream Warriors trilogy that Freddy fans kind of all agree on. I've always really liked Lisa Wilcox as the hero. She plays Alice.
Oh, yes. I love Alice.
She's my favorite final girl of the franchise, actually.
Oh, no, totally. Yeah. I got to spend an evening with Lisa Wilcox a couple of years ago.
Like a romantic evening?
Oh, I wish. No, I went to I was in Los Angeles, and she had put on her Facebook page that they were doing like a little casual get together at this bar where they were showing a short film that she starred in that was an Academy Award nominated short film.
Oh, cool.
And I was just like, I just have to go down there and like get her autograph or whatever.
Yeah.
It happened to be the night of the final game of the World Series. So no one showed up. It was like me and 3 fans, and it was the entire cast of Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5.
Oh, wow.
And that's awesome, though.
We all just hung out for 6 hours, just sitting around talking. And like, she is the coolest person in the world. Dan, her boyfriend from part 4 and 5 was there. Basically everybody but Kristen from Elm Street 4, but like all the supporting cast and stuff was there. It was
that's really cool.
It was like the coolest night of my life.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
So were they all there just to support her?
Yeah. And they had just kind of like rented out this bar that had like a big projector screen, and they showed this like 20-minute short film that she had appeared in, like, I don't know, like a decade before. It's maybe a little longer. Yeah. And it was an Academy Award nominated film called The Adventures of Chastity Blade.
Huh.
It's kind of a cool, kind of ahead of its time little short film. But anyway, so about the film itself.
No, that's cool.
This was definitely like the end of the height of the Elm Street kind of popularity as far as like when it was at its highest.
Yeah.
I think this is actually the lowest grossing film of the entire series, because I think it hit this weird bump where they had put out an Elm Street film every single year.
Yeah.
Similar to the Friday the 13th movies. And they basically were like writing them like 2 months after the previous one had come out in theaters. So you definitely feel that. I think visually it's one of the more interesting ones. I don't think it all comes together in a lot of ways, but man, like I don't know. It definitely has a spot in my heart for it.
Yeah, they have really probably, I would say, the most unique creature and practical effects of the series. They just don't seem to fit too well in the movie. Like there is some weird, like there were like 3 tentacle heads that shot out of Freddy towards the end. Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. But I just felt like it needed to be in a Korean film or something.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I can agree on that. So,
but
yeah. Next up, we have Freddy's Revenge, Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
2, yeah.
At probably for most of my life, this was probably the lowest on the list. But this movie actually holds up quite well. There's a lot of lore to the making of this film as well. I wanted to see the documentary about it before going on the podcast, but I didn't have time. It's on Shudder. It's called Scream Queen.
We want to see it too, but haven't had the chance.
Okay. Yeah. I think there's this weird world where like it was always the black sheep of the Elm Street movies.
It was.
Because Dream Warriors kind of set the tone for the rest of the series. So looking back, like part 2 just stuck out. It's kind of like Halloween 3, where at the time they were trying to do something different.
Right.
They didn't know where the franchise would go, but then they just kind of course corrected back.
Right.
And there's this weird alternative world where you could think like if they had just continued and part 3 was a different story as much as part 2 was. And who knows, like, where the series would have gone with that.
It would have been something completely different. For
sure. Yeah. But the kills are pretty great in it. Some of the effects are amazing. It's the first Elm Street film I saw. So as a kid, I remember it being on TV and everybody was watching it in the living room, and I was hiding under a blanket and watching Freddie kill all the people at the pool party. And I'd never been to a pool party before, I don't think.
Peeking out of the blanket. And you never wanted to
go. You're like, I'm never going to a pool party ever.
Like, I thought that's how all pool parties would end. Like that was my fear as a kid. You know, yeah. And I remember Freddie jumping through the glass and all of a sudden he disappears, and just kind of all like the random kind of cool visuals and stuff. And that stuff really stuck with me like over the years. Yeah. So it's fun to revisit because visually it's pretty good. you know, and it plays with some cool kind of dream logic. And I think unfortunately some of the characters are a little more forgettable. Yeah. And it also came off of, it was stuck in between part 1 and 3, which are typically kind of the franchise favorites.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Yeah. Then I have New Nightmare, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which again, at probably one point was probably like one of my favorites. I don't think time has been as kind to it.
Yeah.
It's more interesting of a concept than it is kind of an execution.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
But at the time, I remember loving it. I remember for years just thinking it was just way ahead of its time. But when you revisit it, there's kind of some sloppiness to it. Because again, it's another film where they took out 2 or 3 subplots from the film.
Really?
Because originally there's an entire subplot where the nanny... I don't know if she's a nanny. She's kind of
like the babysitter.
She's Heather. Yeah, the babysitter, Heather Langenkamp's friend. I don't remember her character's name, but she was suspected to be the stalker at some point. So there was a whole subplot with that.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's moments there's weird moments that still kind of exist in the film where like the phone rings where she's getting called, where Heather Langenkamp's getting her calls from her stalker.
Right.
And she's picking up the phone. There's these weird cutaways to the babysitter.
Right.
Yeah. And those actually meant something more. I still like a lot of the visuals. I think they were doing a couple of things that were a little ahead of their time. Again, there's not a lot of kills in it, but the kills are pretty interesting, pretty cool. I like all the characters. Revisiting it, Heather Langenkamp isn't the best actress, the strongest actress, and she's so well remembered, but I think this is maybe not her best performance, and I think that hampers the film a little bit. Wes Craven's not a very good actor. Robert Shea, who plays himself and who actually is in every other film, he's the executive producer of New Line Cinema. He's kind of rough to watch.
He's in the other films?
He shows up in every film. He's like a teacher. He's a priest. He's
did not notice.
Yeah, he shows up in every film except for the remake, of course.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
No one wanted to be in that one.
Yeah, no, nobody wanted
They're
to.
like, nah, got stuff to do.
Yeah. Well, and even as I think he was leaving the company as they started, and I think there's a great documentary called Never Sleep Again. It's totally worth watching if you're a fan of the series, where it's like a 3.5 hour documentary. And then there's like 3.5 hours of deleted scenes. And then there's commentary on the documentary and the deleted scenes.
So there's a wealth of stuff.
Oh yeah. It's like 12 hours. Yeah.
That's cool.
But he didn't even know they were making an Elm Street remake. Like the guy who basically helped make Freddy who he was. So
that's not a fun way to do it.
No.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, I like a lot of the themes in it. It used to be higher, but I think it tries to do a little more than what it kind of succeeds in viewing.
I totally agree with that one.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then so my top 3, here we go.
Yep. This drum roll. Freddie Flink.
Yeah. This is this has changed. This is constantly in flux, so this will be different by the time this airs. But number 3 is the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
I rewatched this on last Halloween, actually. So I didn't revisit it before the podcast because I had just seen it, and I think it still holds up. I still think it's really interesting.
It's classic.
It's totally a classic, totally deserving of its classic status. Yeah, I don't know what else you can say.
Just it set the tone.
Yeah, totally set the tone.
Yeah.
Number 2, oh man, this was hard. Dream Master, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 Dream Master.
Yep.
This is the first Freddy film I saw in theaters.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
little tiny Shaun, who's probably way too young to be taking this, went with my dad and my sisters to go see it. We saw it at the Fox Theater when they were still showing first run movies, like back in the late 80s. This again, this was my favorite for the longest time. I like all the characters. I like all the kills, and I love all the visuals. It's definitely the most visual. The scene, the time loop scene is still like something that I always think of. Me and my friends still joke about that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, it's...
That's a good... didn't they try to do that again in 5 to some extent, or was it 6? 6, they had a loop.
Well,
yes, 6.
They had
Freddy's dead. They had a loop. Kind of a loop. They drove in the town around.
Yeah,
in
they kept driving around.
Well, yeah, because they had the map. You had the giant map where they're trying to unfold it, and that was like Carlos's dream. Yeah, he keeps unfolding the giant map, and that's the quirky humor of that one, where all of a sudden he's like unfolding, and suddenly he's in a giant van, and the map takes up the entire back seat of the van. And then his head explodes from his hearing aid.
I mean, you make it sound way cooler than it is.
Than it actually is.
All right, let's go back to 4.
Yeah. No, but I love all the characters. I think they do a good job. I think the series in general, when the series is at its best, they've established really good characters.
For sure.
A lot of people are pissed off because they kill off the Dream Warriors in the first like 12 minutes of the film.
I like that though.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean,
personally,
I never had a problem with it as a kid, but I could imagine if you were someone who was like a teenager when you watched it, and to have all your heroes die right away, it probably felt cheap, especially because they had spent a whole movie like trying to build up their power to kill Freddy, and then
kind of like Luke. That whole thing.
Yeah.
They just killed him off.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah. So. That's my number 2, which leaves number one, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Yep.
Which obviously set the tone.
Movie.
Yeah.
It is a rad movie.
Set the tone for the whole series. Still holds up. I would say for Nightmare on Elm Street film, it's pretty flawless. One thing I haven't mentioned, and maybe I'll chime in on your guys' picks, the best Freddy makeup. The Freddy makeup changes drastically throughout the series.
Oh, yeah,
it does.
definitely.
And how they light Freddy changes it kind of drastically. Like the cheaper looking films are mostly just because like they light Freddy and he just looks like he has a rubber mask on.
Yeah.
But I think 3 was the best version of it overall. You know, part 1 and 2, they obviously like keep him in the shadows quite a bit.
Yeah, he's pretty dark in those.
Yeah, but I think it was the best version of the makeup.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think 3 has the best Freddy makeup. There's some fun stuff, but 3.
And also the best cast, the best acting.
Oh yeah,
Heather Langenkamp's even great in it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Patricia Arquette's fantastic. Ken Sagos, who I also met that same night, who plays Kincaid.
Oh, I love Kincaid.
Oh, man.
He's great.
Oh my God, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's so cool. You have Joey, who can't talk until the end.
Yeah.
And you know all the kills. The girl getting her head shoved
That's a
through the
great
TV.
one.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Yeah, yeah. It's all the classic kills you loved. You know, and that was definitely the one where by the time I had seen that, I think we were like renting it all the time. That's what got me excited to go see part 4. And I like begged my dad to like take me, and you know, he was cool with it. So I'm glad he did.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dream Warriors. That's a great one.
Yeah.
It is.
Love it.
Yeah. So that's
that's a good list. That's a respectable list, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, husband, it is your turn.
Well, you know, just like Shaun, the worst one is Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. It's just a dumpster fire of a film. It's shit.
Yeah.
We're watching these. We're getting through them all, and then I was thinking maybe this one's not as bad because a few other ones are pretty bad. So
sure,
we'll watch it again. We're like, yep, it's bad. It's not good. The cast is old. They're not. They look old. They look like they're in their 30s. They don't look
like the blonde.
They don't look like they're high school kids.
Right.
So that was like, it's not believable that they're.
They also kind of like changed the character names aside from Nancy.
Yeah,
that was kind of pointless too. If you're gonna like, they remade so many specific scenes and made like a boring version of them. Why'd they even change the character name? Why not have Tina and Rod?
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know,
and it's just boring. Like you said, it's boring to watch.
No.
It's really choppy. It just seems like they were changing the script as the film went, but you were saying that the producers messed with it. And watching, I'm thinking, don't they have to send the producers dailies? Isn't someone going to step in and be like, what are you guys making?
Well, and clearly the producers did, and that's what happened.
There's 0 moments of levity in it. It doesn't work. I think it just fails on nearly every level, but there's some really cool kills in it. when she gets lifted up to the ceiling and she gets clawed.
Oh, the cross, yeah. That was a good
cool.
version of that, yeah.
I like that. That was really fun.
Yeah.
The one thing this movie does have, I think it's the first time we see snow in the entire franchise.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
There's like
that's the one thing I was always waiting for. They never did a Christmas on Elm Street.
I know, right?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to make that movie, Christmas on Elm Street.
Freddy was never Santa. That's like a perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And there's no boobs in this one either.
No.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about boobs.
Yeah.
Or
There
what.
is a lot of man butt.
Um,
in
yeah.
this one,
Yeah,
though.
but I mean, there's so many other good ideas out there for a remake, and they just did this, and I don't know why they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about it anymore because it's pretty crappy.
Oh.
But moving on, number 8, Freddy's Dead. Kind of the same as you, right?
Yeah.
Second to last one. And it's choppy, bad editing. I don't think the directing was that good. But I was looking up the director, and she does a lot of cool stuff now. Freddy's Dead was her first film, and now she does. She's shot episodes of Sabrina,
Yeah.
Doom Patrol.
She's like one of the most like popular kind of television directors. I think she does Stranger Things too, as well.
She does a lot of good TV, so she's gotten better.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
for sure.
And I imagine getting a Freddy movie, part 6 as your first film, has got to be daunting.
And
too.
she was a producer. She was in production of every single Elm Street film. She was a producer on all of them. So that was kind of her
weird.
You know, she was able to finally step up as director.
Yeah. Flying 3D worms were pretty terrible.
Yeah.
It was a good gimmick back in the day. I remember I was in grade school. My teacher came back from the weekend. He's like, I just saw Freddy's Dead, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
I had 3D glasses. Things are popping out, but now it's pretty cheesy. And it's a weird thing to do with the lore.
Yeah, the dream demons.
Yeah.
I've always said I want to. I keep trying to edit the Freddy's Dead Wikipedia page to.
I love that you keep trying to do this. This is something you do.
To say that 2 of the dream demons were named Reginald.
That's awesome.
Just a weird coincidence. That's not true at all. But if we get enough people to try to source that, I don't care what the 3rd dream demon's name is, but 2 of them should have the name Reginald.
That's funny.
They're not related. It just happened.
This is a side note. Speaking of something on the internet that's true or not, did you really work on Double Jeopardy?
No, there's weird stuff on don't
on
trust anything
on your
IMDb.
Internet Movie Database page. It goes through all your stuff, and then it pops up that you worked on Double Jeopardy with Ashley Judd.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's just weird. It's like I think at some point people merged some IMDb entries. Yeah, like I have so many friends.
Why can't it be something cooler like a Nightmare on Elm Street?
No,
movie?
I've tried to add stuff that I actually did work on, and it won't let you add it. So it's just weird. IMDb is like, if you actually follow it, it's not very correct.
But yeah, Freddy's Dead is just weird. A lot of cool ideas though, like the Wasteland idea is I like that. Like I more, like you said, like it better when you're a kid. Like, oh, he's wiped out this entire town or city. Doesn't it start with like a map of USA and he's wiped out this and this and this? Like that concept is cool. It's just they didn't explore.
Is it though?
I think he could go like Escape from New York-ish with it with Freddy.
Yeah.
And then it's like super heavy on comedy, but then they have really dark pedophile abuse lines. Like nearly every character in that one, they're abused by an adult.
Yeah.
And then they touch more on like Freddy's abuse of children too.
Yeah.
So it's a weird mix.
Especially coming off a series that got so light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, there's always in the original film, they actually filmed a scene where they said he like was a pedophile.
Yeah.
But they cut that out because they thought that was a little too dark at the time. So they kind of leave it to like he was a child killer. He was a child murderer.
Yeah.
And they never really touch on that again until Freddy's Dead.
Yeah.
Although it's kind of just in the air. And then they hit you over the head with it in the remake to the point where they basically just show you.
Right.
But one thing that was cool about Freddy's Dead is they had a sweet supply of ninja weapons at the end.
Oh yeah,
they really did.
That was cool.
Check out this knife.
Ninja stars.
And they had like a pipe bomb too that a kid built and like brought to school.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They confiscated it, where they were just like, no, go to class.
Yeah. Did you get to watch it in 3D or were you watching the VHS?
I might have. I don't remember. I don't think I've ever seen it in 3D.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. The DVD and probably the Blu-ray has the 3D version.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll do that. But we're moving on.
You're not missing a lot.
I think I'll bow out of that one.
Number 7, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. That one's not too good either. I didn't like. I thought it was better. I liked it more when I was a kid. I liked the idea, the insane asylum idea, the whole that Freddy was born the son of 100 maniacs or 1,000. What was it?
Son of 100.
Son of 100 maniacs.
Yeah.
But I think that was in 6, but still that's where they started that idea, wasn't it?
They mention it in Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
That's where he's first called the son of 100 maniacs, and then they basically just show it to you.
I like that Alice returns, and I like that what was her boyfriend's name that returns?
Dan.
I like that. That's really cool. But overall it gets kind of boring and kind of dull, and they hit on a few topics that just don't land. Like I remember the nun, one of the characters had to go find the nun's ghost. Yeah. And that was just strange too. And,
well, I mean, we've all had to find a nun's ghost before, Jesse. I don't know if it's that strange.
Okay. Yeah. And like I said, they had practical effects in there that were really cool. I really don't think they fit with the film. And they had like the motorcycle kill scene was pretty rad.
Yeah.
It just seemed
kind of comes out of nowhere.
It seemed out of place.
Yeah.
And I was sad to see because the boyfriend dies pretty quick.
Yeah,
right?
that was super lame because again, you kind of really like those characters, and then he kind of just dies for no reason.
Yeah.
The Super Freddy scene was one of those things that me and my friends still kind of make references to.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And that whole scene was actually they created that whole set in black and white, and all the makeup was done in black and white. None of that's like post black and white. It's just all
that's
like,
cool.
Which is cool. Going back to like the practical effects.
Yeah. No, that is cool. But I think there's just better films than 5. I don't think it holds up too well. I do like the box art for 5. I think the box art's pretty cool.
The original. Like
the one where Freddy's he's around the black carriage. Just that box used to scare me when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, and then up from that one is Wes Craven's New Nightmare number 6. It's not a terrible movie, but it's not great.
It's a better concept.
Yeah.
I think.
It just we've talked about this. I don't think the 90s knew what to do with Freddy or with Jason too much. They really didn't know where to put them.
I think they definitely were trying to do something different with New Nightmare specifically, but I think it's just a better concept than I could imagine that if you took the footage and maybe the script of that and actually did a tighter edit of that and maybe changed a few things here and there, maybe updated some of the effects and stuff. I bet there's an amazing film in there.
I bet you could, if you trim down like 10-15 minutes, maybe pretty good.
Yeah.
It starts so slow. Like the first act is pretty it's a battle to watch that, but it gets better. Like the second and third acts are a lot of fun. And one thing that bothered me, and I think it was only through the first part of the film, was it was a lot of handheld.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, sure. Well, and it was trying to do that kind of in the life. In the behind the scenes, they referenced that New Line Cinema had done a film a couple of years before, or even the year before, called The Player. Yeah, and it was all that handheld in your face.
So it was popular at the moment. Yeah. What I do like, I think the lines that Wes says, I think those are cool, but he just didn't shoot them out too well. I like that Nancy's dad is back, and I like that Nancy's back. And at the funeral, you get to see some of the characters.
Some of the other, actors.
I think that was a lot of fun.
The best moment, probably one of the best moments, and it's super subtle the way they do it. But the actor John Saxon, who just passed, who plays himself and Nancy's dad,
he recently died. That's sad.
There's a great moment where John is talking to Heather Langenkamp. And then subtly they cut back to him, and he's in his police uniform. Yeah. And then, but you don't catch it right away. And then it cuts back to her, and then he calls her Nancy. Yeah. And then you realize he's dressed like he was in Elm Street 1.
That whole 10-15 minute section of the film, I think, is where it's best.
Yeah. I would agree.
That. Yeah. And then that whole segment where Freddy's coming out of the bed, growing, and then he tears out. Yeah. That was really cool.
Freddy in a trench coat is an amazing visual, I think. The makeup is hit and miss for me, depending on how they light it.
I liked his look a lot, but you'd have to have another reference to like it, I think.
Yeah. It's very plasticky in some moments. The glove is the new glove is hit and miss.
Yeah.
I didn't like the new
glove.
Yeah. They had some really good ideas. I think, like you said, it didn't age too well.
Yeah.
And this was an odd time for Wes Craven because he directed this, and then a year later, in 1995, Vampire in Brooklyn came out, and then a year later, in '96, his massive hit Scream came out, which just redefined everything. And Scream wouldn't have existed without Nightmare on Elm Street. So it was a strange time for him. I would be, if he was still alive, I'd ask him about that moment in time in those 3 films.
I think he's a great director. I think he always does interesting films. I don't think all his films are great.
Yeah.
But I always think there's a kernel of something like genius, even in like, as silly as it is, like Shocker. Like,
I haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah, watch it again. It's one of those films that it's super cheesy and not well done.
Yeah.
But it really is kind of ahead of its time in a lot of ways.
I'll have to check it
out. And I recently rewatched Vampire in Brooklyn. It's not good.
I liked it when I was younger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But
I like Eddie Murphy a lot too.
There are some kind of interesting moments. Like, you can tell he's trying to do interesting things. For one reason or another, he's not always as successful, but I think he's always been an interesting filmmaker.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Moving on. Number 5, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, sitting kind of right in the middle there.
Yeah.
And it was a lot, like you were saying, it was lower for me too when I was younger. But this was the first box art I remember seeing in the video store, where it was like half yellow and he was by flames.
He's coming around the corner.
Yeah. I remember seeing that and just being scared of it.
Yeah. The box art of the films in general was always fun because with the Elm Street films, it was, I think, just the 80s in general, like everything was about grabbing your attention with the box art.
Oh, for sure. That's how they got your money from rentals. They had to, you couldn't preview anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I think it was fun. It's an odd choice for a sequel. But they didn't know really what they had or where to go with it. And like you said, Dream Warriors hadn't happened, which just set, the hard standard for what those films are.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting choice. I like Clu Gallagher, who was in it. He plays the main character's dad, and he was the guy in Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
And then he was in more recently, well, not recently, he was in the Feast movies too. But I think he was an old Western actor.
Yeah, he's like a character actor for like forever.
And then he just did really fun horror.
He did his son's films after that.
Yeah, is that what it was?
Yeah, his son directed Feast.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. There was a whole documentary series about
no
Feast.
idea about that.
Did you know that? It was the 3rd season of, what was that? Ben Affleck and Matt Damon did that TV show.
Yeah,
the Green Light Project.
Project Greenlight. Yeah. So I believe the 3rd season is about that.
Yeah.
And the director basically is like, I want to make a horror film and I want to hire my dad to be the main character. Like, yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But anyways, I liked him in it. The one thing I don't like, and this is kind of prevalent in these nightmare movies, and I don't like this in horror movies or anything in general, is where the adults do not believe the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter all this evidence in front of them, they're like, nah, kid, it's just your hormones.
Right.
Or the bird blows up and he's like, you fucking blew the bird up.
That's
Excuse me? We were all in the same room.
Yeah.
I didn't touch no goddamn bird.
Yeah, there's
what are
a
you talking about?
killer parrot in this movie that spontaneously combusts. And the dad blames the kid. Oh, you did it somehow.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's weird. But it's still fun. I think this one, out of all of them, has the most comedic value, even intentionally or not. We laughed the most watching this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And there's fun banter between the two best friends, the main guy, who they became best friends over just gym class.
Yeah.
And suddenly they were buddies.
As you do.
Yeah. Right. It was cool. I like Freddy's look. The other thing I didn't like, they had a pretty anticlimactic ending, I think.
Love conquers all. I love you, Jesse.
Oh,
he
dies.
Yeah. That's how that went.
Yeah. Good practical effects, though. I like when Freddy crawls out of them.
Oh, that was really cool.
Yeah. And even I think one of the first jokes me and my friends always went back to was like Freddy pulling his head back and saying, you got the body, I got the brains.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would reference that all the time.
That was creepy where you saw his brains. And one thing I didn't catch, and I'm sure this is what the documentary talks about too, is just the homosexual tones from this one. When I was a kid, I didn't see any of that.
Me neither. No.
But as an adult, you pick up on it, especially the principal, not the principal, the coach. Sorry, he's in a bondage gay bar.
Yeah.
And then isn't his death pretty like gay bondage?
Yeah.
And he was going to, and we thought this was like a dream segment, but he was gonna tie up Jesse to punish him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think
there's a weird history with like how the people who produced and kind of directed the film have addressed that in the Never Sleep Again documentary and kind of other material that kind of came out over time. You would have the writers say, oh yeah, it was 100% intentional.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to like put in gay themes into it. I believe the writer himself was gay. And then you have the director denying it. And then years later, the director was like, oh yeah, we all knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's cool.
It is.
You know, I think it's super cool that, you know, they had a voice then. And I think it's cool that, you know, maybe as kids we didn't recognize it. And now we can appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I like it. It's a good movie.
It's definitely very blatant when you watch it as an adult.
As an adult, you're like,
for sure.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
And his dance segment in his room where he's grinding.
Oh yeah.
And singing. That was pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, it's a fun movie. But I think Freddy versus Jason is better. That's my number 4.
Oh,
I think we disagree on that. I think it has it's highly entertaining. High entertainment value. I think the director, he had a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
I think with some of his techniques and stuff. I think that helps that he's from Hong Kong. So I know regionally you film things differently. Different countries have different styles.
Yeah.
So I think that was welcome. I liked his look.
I also think it was the first Elm Street film not to be shot in Los Angeles.
Really?
Shot in Vancouver, BC.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so there is just that different tone to it.
Maybe
Every other film was shot like
maybe
in
I
the
just
Los
like
Angeles
horror
area.
film shot in because Jason Takes Manhattan is shot in Vancouver partially,
Oh,
and I
sure.
love that one.
Yep.
So I just love Vancouver shot films.
Yeah.
Hey, Vancouver.
Yeah.
They had a sweet van in that one.
They did have a sweet van.
A really sweet party van.
Yeah.
That was pretty
with
cool.
With the not Jason Mewes as like the stoner character.
Yes.
They have
budget Jason Mewes.
Yeah.
They have a funny moment in the Never Sleep Again documentary where they start talking about the film, and then Jason Mewes just comes on screen. He's like, "Yeah, I loved working on Freddy versus Jason." He's like, "Wait a minute, I didn't work on Freddy's versus Jason."
That's awesome.
And then he gets up and walks out.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
I think it's just a silly but fun premise, and I think the movie knows what it is and rolls with it. Yeah. It's pretty tongue in cheek. It has the most boobs out of the entire franchise, coming in at 3.5 boobs.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So I think that's fun.
And I had it lower on my list, but I still really enjoy it. I still love all these movies except for the remake that doesn't exist.
That remake is sucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun. That's about it. So we'll go into the top 3.
All right.
And 3 is the original Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. Like you said, what can you say about it? It started it all. Wes Craven, Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, the score, the opening sequence, the final battle at the end where she Rambo montages and pulls him out of the dream world.
Yeah.
Brings him into reality where he can be defeated. And I
all
like how she booby traps.
Booby trap was awesome.
I love that. I've always wanted to try this. See if it actually works. Put gunpowder in a light bulb and turn it on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it'd work, but we could try.
I think you and me, we should try it.
Yeah. Even as a kid, the thing that always got me was the stunt man they got to do the Freddy fire gag.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember being a kid just thinking like, why is that guy all of a sudden like 380 pounds?
Why is he fat on fire? Who is this fat guy? They lit the wrong person on fire.
Well, and even then, like, I think home video wasn't as big. So people weren't experiencing movies the way we do now. Like, they're not rewinding them. They might just see it real quick. They might be paying attention to other stuff. You can get away with that.
Yeah.
Whereas in the VHS era was the first time you can kind of go back and say, oh, I think I saw something that didn't seem right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. There's iconic visual moments. The phone tongue. You have the hand in the bathtub. The only thing I don't really like about it, but it's fine, is the vague ending. I could do without. Like
Which they shot 3 or 4 different endings because Craven, I think Wes Craven championed a happy ending.
Yeah,
he wanted an ending where it left they just drive off and it's like a happy ending. Nancy conquered her fears.
I would have liked that better. I think. I'd be curious to see them all. Is there a place you can see them all?
They're definitely all online. I know they're on like the DVDs or they have clips of them. The main difference is, I think it just goes into like, the car drives off and it's like the mom waving without getting pulled back in. Mm-hmm. There's a version where all of a sudden Freddie's driving the car and they drive off and the mom's waving. So it's pretty small. It's just a matter of like each ending has like 2 different shots.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. It's an iconic film. Number 2, same as you, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Yeah. And between 2 and 1, they flip for me. Every week. Yeah. Like they're pretty interchangeable, but right now I feel like it's number 2. It's just fun. It has a great cast. And I think Lisa Wilcox as Alice is, she's the best final girl in the series for me. Yeah. I like her.
Do you have a favorite final girl of all time?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Of all time, final girl, I'd have to think about it. Yeah. Off the top of my head, I mean, it's hard to beat Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
especially since she's stuck with the franchise.
Yeah.
Neve Campbell.
Yeah. Okay.
And also Amy Steele from Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah. If you're only looking at 80s films, or I guess 70s and 80s, then then maybe Jamie Lee Curtis probably for me. I didn't even think about Neve Campbell. Yeah. But that's just because I love the Scream movies so much. Have you guys done Scream movies yet?
Not yet.
Maybe I'll come back.
How about you? Really quick, what would be your final girl?
I would say probably Neve Campbell.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. She's a good choice.
She kicks ass. Like, I love Laurie Strode, but honestly, in the first 2, she did more like, not a whole lot of fighting back.
Yeah.
I mean, in the newer one,
Neve Campbell kicked butt.
But Neve Campbell kicks butt all the whole time.
Yeah.
So I would say Neve Campbell. And I love the Scream.
Oh yeah, me too.
Franchise.
Yeah. 4 has a great score too. Probably like the most rockin' score. Especially that song soundtrack. Anything by Dramarama.
Oh right, yeah.
With the karate montage where suddenly the brothers just do anything,
which was
that was really cool.
Yeah, and the karate death scene was like a pickup. It was one of those things where they kind of forgot to kill that character, and they were like, "You have no money to like shoot a death scene," they couldn't even put Robert Englund in Freddy makeup. Like they didn't even have the money to like have him there that day to put him in makeup. Yeah. So they like shot his death that way. Just
that's
one of those
interesting.
Random tidbits. Yeah.
How do you forget to oh shit?
Yeah.
We forgot to kill him.
But that's because they're literally like they're writing, producing, editing, and delivering a film, and it seems like it's a year, but it's really like 7 months or 6 months, because by the time like the film like 3 comes out, like they light the next one, they try to write it.
Yeah,
there's all sorts of crazy stories about like they would just like someone would just knock on the door and like New Line and say like, can I write a Freddy film, and they would just like let them write it. Why can't we go back in time?
I want to do that.
Yeah.
You do the reboot, and I'll do the sequel to it.
Yeah, and it was also that weird time where like nobody wanted to do like horror movies, so they would try to find directors for like Elm Street 4 specifically. Mm-hmm. They would try to find directors, and Rennie Harlem was basically homeless. He had done a film in I think he's in Denmark. I think he's from Denmark. I might be wrong with that, but he basically like moved to LA after doing one film, was basically homeless, and just kept going to the New Line offices and saying like, "Hey, can I do something?" And they're just like, "Let's just give him an Elm Street movie so he'll stop like coming
let's go
to
back
our
to
offices." Yeah.
But Rennie Harlan did a good job. He went on to direct Die Hard 2, Cliffhanger, and Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie's fun, and when Alice becomes badass, where she gets all the powers, and then she starts doing the nunchucks, and it comes to the stunt double doing nunchucks, it cuts back to her
with the really bad wig.
But it's a lot of fun. I like how Freddy comes back. It's so ridiculous. A dog named Jason digs up Freddy and then pisses fire. Yeah, and then Freddy's back. It makes zero sense, but it works.
But everybody says this, but I will say that if you watch the movie closely, Joey and Kincaid warn Kristen that if she keeps going into the dream world, she's going to bring him back. So although the visual imagery of it is the dog pissing,
it's all Kristen's fault.
No, it is Kristen's fault for invoking the dream again.
Bitch. And that's why they killed her.
And that's quickly.
But when you do something as silly, and like in all the documentary and behind the scenes material, they're just like, we just wanted to do something really weird. We thought a dog peeing on a grave was like a great way to bring him back.
Yeah. It's a memorable way for sure.
Oh no, totally. Because that's the only thing people remember. They don't remember the 5-minute scene where the characters are like, "Don't go into the dream world. You'll bring Freddie back."
But I forget about that. But they show up in the beginning of the film, which is really cool too. That you have the surviving characters from the previous one come back.
Yeah.
And the cockroach death is amazing and gross.
Oh,
I love that.
One of my favorite deaths. Yeah.
But that's a good film. But my number one right now is Dream Warriors, just like you, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, 1987. Best one, tightly woven film script.
Yeah.
Great cast: Patricia Arquette, Lawrence Fishburne.
Great opening sequence.
Yeah.
With her, like, I remember having like severe, like, legitimately being creeped out by the little baby doll.
Yeah.
Like that's saying, "Let me go, you're hurting me." Like,
that was creepy.
Yeah.
Yep. I love the big Freddy worm that eats her.
Yeah.
Or is trying to eat her. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I like the concept of those Avengers type characters. Like when they would go into the dream world, they become powerful. You can be whatever you want. One guy is a wizard. One guy's Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I like the punk lady. She's got knives.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, she's
and
beautiful
bad.
and bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a crush on her when I was a kid, and the nurse with the boob scene. That was amazing. But yeah, I just like that concept. And then Kincaid was super strong. That was his.
Yeah, he could bend a chair.
He became Hulk.
That's true. Yeah.
So it was that. I like that. That was a lot of fun. And I like the half and half finale. The real world versus dream world was going on because I love that they bring the dad back along with Nancy.
Yeah.
And he kind of inadvertently helps because he dies too, and Nancy, right?
That's true. Yeah.
They all die at the end. Which that was fun. I like that.
Yeah. It kind of gave her a good ending. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a great line, "Welcome to prime time, bitch." That's my favorite Freddy line, I think. Or what's the bourbon one? What's the bourbon line that Freddy says? Do you remember it? Give me the bourbon, bitch, or something like that.
Yeah.
Where's my bourbon? He's like, "Where's my bourbon, bitch?"
Yeah.
No, he's like, "Where's my bourbon, bitch?"
Was that in 4 or 3?
That's in 3.
That's in 3.
That's in 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was full of great.
And Kristen's mom was also at that party that I went to in LA, and I got to walk to her car. She was like, "Would one of you nice men walk me to my car?"
That's amazing.
And I was like, "Yeah." So I walked Kristen's mom.
That's awesome.
Did you offer her any bourbon?
Oh, God, I should have. Yeah.
Hey, bitch.
Yeah.
You want some bourbon?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's cool though that you got to meet and hang out with all those people.
Yeah.
So, my least favorite is the Reboot.
Yeah.
It is also on my list of worst remake ever.
It is your.
This
worst
is my
remake
worst
ever.
remake.
Yeah.
I hate it so much. It is forgettable. Absolutely forgettable. I do love the kill scenes. They have really good kill scenes, I think. That being said, to me, Freddie.
Yeah. You're being nice to me. You don't have to be nice to me.
No, I won't be nice.
Yeah.
To me, Freddie is a tiny little man who has a cold. He sounds like he has a stuffy nose.
Sure.
And he looks like he's there was a series with Linda Hamilton in the 80s called Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah.
And Vincent the Beast. He his makeup is like Vincent's little brother.
Oh, interesting.
With a stuffy nose.
Yeah.
And he's he's not
tiny little Freddy.
Tiny little Freddy.
Mini
Well,
Fred.
to be
And
fair to
his-
Jackie Earle Haley, they filmed it during flu season.
But still.
So you have to
He's not intimidating.
Oh.
Freddie to me is sarcastic, and he's got a swagger to him a little, and he for me doesn't cover any of that at
and
all.
they definitely boned that because I mean Jackie Earle Haley is a good actor.
He is.
That's true.
You
Yeah.
know,
but
and
just not as
just-
Freddie.
Yeah.
He just not.
Yeah.
I hate him. I hate
Yeah.
it so much because
Yeah.
you're rebooting the franchise, and that
I
is
hope his
what you
mother
have.
isn't watching.
I hope she is.
Yeah.
And like
Miss
we
Haley.
said, all the kids are like going on 30. They're pushing 30 over here, and the CGI face push, like that's a big. He pops out of things or pushes his face out all the time, and practically it looks awesome. But that is like,
I don't know how that happens. Like, I don't know if you guys ever saw the Thing remake.
Mm-hmm.
It's like prequel remake, whatever you want to do. They actually filmed all that stuff with practical effects and then went over it with CGI.
Story.
So it's like, how did anybody watch that? I don't know originally what they even had, if they even tried to do something practical, like, or if they like basically like said we're going to do it digital and it's going to look awesome, and then they realized it wasn't looking awesome, and they were like, well, the film's already a mess, we're not going to spend another like $600,000 to get it right. They
it could be something like that.
It's just, it's got a cast that in other things do really great. David Cassidy's Spawn, Katie Cassidy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, her dad is David Cassidy, who,
she's
when I was younger, had
she's good in Arrow.
I thought she was good. Yeah, I thought she was good in the film. But yeah, like there's nothing for any of the characters to really do.
No.
In a lot of ways.
And
did you think, you guys both brought this up, did you feel like these teens felt older than the teens in like the other films?
Yes.
Because my experience was always, I would watch the movies as a kid, and like my dad and my sister would be like, oh, they're all 20 and 30-year-olds playing teenagers, and I didn't think anything of it because I was young, and I was like, no, that's what a 17-year-old looks like.
Right.
Well, maybe it was different. Maybe that's why.
I wonder,
because when I saw those, I was a kid, so in my head they're teens. But this one, I don't know, it just stands out as that they're older.
Right.
And they seem a lot older.
There's no real funny, like you said, there's no levity, there's no real fun. Funniest moment
they try to add it in post. They add like the houses for a wet dream. They add like dumb little quips later.
Well, and he doesn't even deliver it well, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree.
The funniest scene to me was when he pops out of the water in his
slow motion.
In his slow motion, he's like, oh, like that was the funniest scene in the entire movie for me.
Bathing
in his little
short
Speedos,
thing.
and I did like some of the transitions, like the micro naps in the convenience store. But and my little aside, the guy who plays Jesse, Thomas Decker, when I was on the Twitter, I had a conversation with him about horror movies.
Nice.
Because you're
trying to one up me for my night with the Elm Street.
No, your night is no way.
I see how it is.
I'm jealous of that night. I want to go with you.
Yeah.
So that I hate it. It's trash. I'm never watching it again. Ever. I've watched it twice. I'm done.
Well, we all agree that that's the worst Nightmare on Elm Street film.
Yes.
Can we officially break the disc?
We can never watch it again.
We can. We can do that.
So my number 8 is Freddy's Dead. I never watched it as a child.
Sure.
I watched it last week.
Oh, okay.
And that was the first time you've seen it.
The first time I've seen
Congratulations.
that one. And I'm
Welcome.
No. Just no.
No.
I disliked it very much. It was very boring to me.
Were any of you fans of Twin Peaks?
I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan.
Do you like, that was the main influence? Like Rachel Taglier basically said she wanted to do Twin Peaks. Like her whole thing was like, I love Twin Peaks. I'm going to make like something as amazing as Twin Peaks.
No.
I can see it with Town, yes, because they're making these quirky characters that live in the town, like Roseanne Barr and Tom Arnold.
Sure.
And you have like all these older people. She nailed like the quirky townish. She didn't nail it. She tried to
they nailed it.
They nailed that quirky town.
Yeah.
That's the wrong words that came out. Short answer, no.
No. Yeah, okay,
they mentioned like they say, well, this like Twin Peaks.
They say Twin Peaks.
They say Twin Peaks.
Yeah. But no, no.
He was like ASMRing at some point, and it was just weird. It was just not. He was doing he was like Q-tipper, like that was weird.
What about the very Looney Tunes thing?
My God,
where the guy's falling through the sky, and then it shows Freddy pushing out the bed of spikes, and he looks at the camera,
the Roadrunner,
and like wipes his brow because
I think at that moment she turned her head and looked at me.
I did. I went.
Yeah.
Actually, through this movie, there was a lot of me going.
Yeah.
Am I watching this? This is really what's happening right now. This
Because
is happening.
in the series, there was a slow buildup, and maybe watching them all in a row, there was a slow buildup of making Freddy funnier and quirkier.
Yes.
So
Yes.
sorry, as my voice cracks. 3, the scariest one. Like 3, legitimately, he's finally out of the shadows, and 1 and 2, he's completely in the shadows.
Right.
There's a couple of moments, like there's a big difference between you got the body and I got the brain, than him saying, "I'm gonna take your little soul," as he's riding as the
Oh, the
"I'll
Wizard
get you
of
my
Oz, pretty, and
Yeah.
your little soul
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
No.
but it is subtle enough where it's like by 4, he's like the MTV Freddy, as they always
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
And they're purposely like trying to make him a rock star. I mean, he's in rap videos and stuff.
Right.
Now he's
And-
commercial.
And
He's
then
commercial
5, visually, 5, they tried to make it dark again, but then like everything Freddy says in 5, every line of dialogue he has is a pun.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing I forgot to mention, but like by 6, he's just a cartoon character.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did that seem gradual? So by the time you got to 6, how shocking was it that it was Looney Tunes?
It was not shocking. It was disappointing. And I like having the moments where he's sarcastic and punny here and there. But that one, it was just too much. It was too much for me.
I feel like it was gradual to
It was gradual to 5. And then 6, it was just like,
Boom.
boom.
6 was
Yeah.
we don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They set the tone with him riding a witch's broom. So I guess you can
Right.
give the movie that. At least they set the tone. So this is a movie you're gonna watch, guys.
Yeah.
Yep. This is happening.
Yeah.
You know, baby Breckenmeyer with his little ponytail.
Aw. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
Little guy.
But other than that, I just thought it was lame. My notes on my thing was like lame, boring,
Lame boy. Yeah.
a waste of nunchucks, which,
I can see that.
Yeah.
so yeah. My number 7 is Dream Child.
Same as me, right? Yeah.
We have pretty.
I think
up
our
to
lists are
1 and 2 are switched.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that they have they have inclusive cliques in high school. Like,
Yeah.
I like that there's the nerdy girl and and they're all friends and like the badass girl and
Yeah.
you know, I really like that. I like how they the mix of different people and not have the, you know, the jocks on one side and this and they don't talk to each other. But the whole friend group is very inclusive. So I liked that. And I love Alice. She's great. She is. But it wasn't my favorite. I think at one point I was like, really? Really? Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of notes for that.
Was your experience having a child anything like Alice's?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Not
Were you ever afraid that your baby would get the soul of a serial killer?
no.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't.
All right. Well, then
Which is
that's
good.
probably why it's lower on your
It
list.
probably
right?
is. You know, I mean, the model and all of her dolls, that was creepy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
she's just in her room with all of her porcelain dolls. That's
Well, and actually, before the podcast, we were talking about it. This part 5 was the most edited by the MPAA.
Really?
As far as like the theatrical version versus the VHS version. So if you watched this version, you probably saw the most extreme version. As far as like the kills and stuff.
I think we actually watched the one that's streaming on HBO.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay. So I'm curious, like how graphic some of the kills were and
Well,
stuff.
I remember I did like it was really gross effects. The chick with her mouth is big.
Yeah.
In
Oh,
the
right.
fridge.
And
that
he's
was
feeding
pretty,
her guts and stuff.
That was
yeah.
gross.
I did like some of the effects though. I thought they were really cool, but at points misplaced in
I
the
think
arena.
for me, this is the worst looking Freddy to me. And maybe it's like you said, how they're lighting him, but I don't like his design in this one.
They purposely redesigned him. They had brought back the makeup artist, I think it was either the same artist for 1 and 2, and then they had a different artist. So, but regardless, this artist had done like the first or second one and came back. And his whole concept was Freddy should look like a witch. And that's why you see he like purposely has this giant hook nose.
Okay.
And that never sat with me.
Yeah.
Like I remember even seeing the poster, like when all the promotional material, and I said something's wrong with it. He has like instead of burns, he has like all these like wild kind of scabs. And stuff.
It's like they're missing, and it makes his face seem chubbier.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
it's
and
weird.
And it's also just goes back to like there's a lot of moments where he's not lit very well.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
I would still take that over the reboot and
Oh yeah.
Beauty and the Beast,
Yeah.
little
Sure.
brother. My next one is New Nightmare, middle of the pack. It was interesting. The meta aspect of it I thought was very interesting. It had the little boy from Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that? So had you seen it before? Or was this your first time?
No, I
seeing
saw
that
it.
one?
I've
Okay,
seen it before.
cool.
And the little boy is creepy.
Yeah.
He was in everything back then. And really, I liked the nanny or her death scene getting thrown all around. That was cool. And one of the notes is I really hated that doctor looking at her like, maybe we should put your son in foster care.
Oh yeah, exactly.
While you just work out shut the fuck up.
It's kind of just
Take my-
convenient for the story.
Yeah, it's
it's
like
only there for the story.
right. Like you're crazy. We should take your child away. Shut up. That woman just got ran all around the room.
Yeah.
Please fuck off.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it was terrifying when he was running across the highway and all that. Like as a parent, I'd be like, oh my god.
Sure.
I was gonna say that moment was the only time watching the whole franchise I saw you react with like kind of fear.
Yeah, I did. I was like
the crossing the highway scene.
Yeah. That's what really freaked me out.
So as a mother, you related to New Nightmare more than Dream Child.
Yes.
Cool.
She did.
There we go. Nice.
That's awesome.
So my number 5 is number 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Mhm.
I enjoyed that one. It was fun. And, as the magic school bus of death.
Yeah.
Miss Frizzle, like, where are you? Help us, please. And I mean, there was tons of man butt. And this is the series that gave me the most man butt out of
Congratulations
the 3.
again.
I know.
Yes.
I mean,
There
I'm
you
just
go.
saying. But there has to be a ratio. And
Yeah.
boobs galore. And there's no man butt. And what the hell?
I think this series out of like Halloween and Friday the 13th has the less boobs
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, and different. I think it's different because they're in the dream. And it's
Yeah. There's no boobs in dreams.
no boobs in dreams.
Not at
Come
all.
on.
No,
Yeah.
just dicks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All the dicks.
All my dreams are dicks. So I don't know you guys.
And then
Everybody take a sip of this.
like
man.
who doesn't have a dance party break with really cool glasses while you're cleaning your room?
Yeah.
I still do that as an adult.
Yeah.
So I was fun, and the scene where he like pops out of him was really cool.
That was.
The ending was very lackluster. Like, I love you, Jesse, and then he defeats him, and then it was
Defeated
very,
by love.
Defeated by love. Whatever.
Well, that's how all good endings are. Like Interstellar and Avatar.
And like and like we were talking about his
started
best
on
friend, like I pantsed you in gym class, we wrestled, and now we're best friends for life.
Wrestled.
We wrestled and we're best friends for life.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah.
That was fun. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it.
It gets better all the time. Every time I watched it, it gets better. Yeah.
I think the only thing that got a little weird for me was he was like doing a lot of stuff in the real world that like
He was.
Well, yeah, and there's it always goes back to like they hadn't really set any rules with the franchise.
So
Yeah.
it's like looking at it through that lens, I guess. Like, yeah. So
But
that
it's-
makes sense.
Yeah, but it's interesting to kind of play off of Nancy was able to bring him out to the real world, so maybe this was a different play on that.
Yeah.
right.
But after that, it kind of just became, oh well, he can only kill you in your dreams,
Yeah.
so don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
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 And again with like the parents, all the asshole, just straight asshole parents.
Yeah.
And then him going like, he doesn't have mental health problems. He just needs a good ass whooping.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, clearly your son something is wrong with him.
Yeah,
yeah.
We should have him talk to someone. No, he just needs his ass whooped.
yeah,
What kind of
Like-
drugs you on?
Yeah, what kind of drugs you want? Any drug. I'm having night sweats.
yeah.
Going through menopause. It's crazy. Okay, so my number 4 is Freddy vs. Jason.
You guys had
I
that way higher than I thought you would.
it
funny.
was fun.
It's still a totally fun film, but
Yeah.
it's moved down the rankings for me quite
Yeah.
a bit. But
I thought it was really fun. I liked both of their openers. I liked the Freddy opener, and the backstory was really creepy
sure,
of him, doing the little girl. That
was good. That
really
was-
creepy
yeah.
and really well done. I think.
Sure.
I think it brought, all the pieces of all of them kind of, and gave him a backstory that really wasn't shown before
Sure.
necessarily.
Yeah.
I really like that. And then, of course, Jason's opening kill was great.
Jason on fire in the cornfield
Oh,
is like one of my favorite
Yes.
Jason things.
That was badass.
and
yeah.
like,
And then when he was like slashing the people, that was practical blood coming out of
Right.
everyone.
Oh, sure.
And then he hit the beer keg, and so you had beer and blood spraying
Yeah.
around too. And I like that kind of stuff.
and Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child.
Oh,
In my
yeah.
head, I'm like, I'm a survivor. Just joking. I get murdered so hard. It was fun.
That was back when that made her the most successful person to come out of Destiny's Child.
That is true.
Mhm.
It's like, oh my God, like she's in the movie. And then Beyonce had to
came.
ruin it.
Take over the world.
Yeah.
I love. I refer to him as Douche Canoe, as the one girl, the guy that gets folded up into the bed.
Oh, that was a
Oh,
really
sure.
fun kill.
That was a great
Yeah.
fun kill. And then
Yeah.
the girlfriend, when she's running out, I'm like, "Are you in trouble?" She's like, "What the fuck do you think? I'm
Yeah.
in a towel covered in
She's
blood."
covered
like,
in blood.
Yeah.
what the
I
fuck?
forget that actress's name, but she was Ginger and Ginger Snaps.
Mhm.
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't remember
Yeah.
her name either.
And I personally, that's my favorite version of Freddy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. It's a fun movie, and I think Robert Englund is like full on like having fun, and
Yeah.
he hadn't played the character in almost 10 years or
Yeah.
over 10 years by the time. I think that was 2003, and New Nightmare was 94, so 9 years.
Oh,
Right.
he must
Yeah,
And
have
that was
excited.
his last one.
Did he
that
know
did.
he was sending it off with this one? Did he know this was going to be his last?
I don't know. It's like, it's weird with franchises nowadays. You don't think a franchise is ever going to end,
Yeah.
but like back then it's like there were so many like I don't know. He probably wasn't sure.
Mhm.
There was also so many other like possible stops and starts to the franchise over the
Yeah.
years. There was like 6 or 7 other possible Freddy versus Jason scripts.
Mm.
But yeah, that was the last time, aside from he played Freddy last year on the Goldbergs.
Yeah.
Yes,
we saw
we
that.
watched that.
Yeah. And it's funny because you look at Robert Englund, he always kind of looks the same, although now he's maybe a little grayer.
Mm.
He looks fine, but then in the Goldbergs, you could just tell
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
off a little bit. The makeup was a little off. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I had a lot of fun with that one. I loved their final battle was
Yeah.
pretty
that's
rad.
a highlight. Yeah.
That was pretty great. So,
I saw that movie twice in one day
really,
when it came out in theaters. And because I immediately I saw it with my friend who we had seen like basically all the Freddy movies together. And then I went back to see it like 2 shows later with my
Yeah.
sister. Yeah.
That was a good one to see in the theater.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's what you wanted.
it was a lot of fun. All right, so my number 3 is the original.
Yeah.
I think did we all have it as 3?
I had it as
We
3.
did. Wow.
Yeah.
There we go.
You get the house. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty iconic.
Which I've been to.
Really?
It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Was it the same night you met all that cast?
It was a different
let's go to
year.
the house,
It was a
guys.
different time. No, it was
Road trip.
It was a couple years apart, but
Yeah.
the house is cool. The house oddly is like just a couple of blocks from like Hollywood Boulevard, like the Man's Chinese Theater. It's like weirdly just a couple of blocks back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just kind of just on like some random street. Yeah.
Not Elm Street. That's sad.
No, but it is 1428. That is the actual address. And for years, somebody owned it and didn't want people coming to visit, so they redid kind of the outside facade and painted it different colors. And then a couple of owners ago kind of painted it back.
Yeah.
And then I think that the current owners kind of restored it and are very welcoming to people kind of coming up and take pictures.
That's nice.
I think they have a little sign that just says, "Please stay off the grass."
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's
it
cool.
was like a major bucket list to go there, yeah.
absolutely.
Check that out too.
We get baby Johnny Depp
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
an awesome death
In his
scene.
first role.
In his
Yeah.
first role,
Yeah.
and his death scene was amazing.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
So
a lot
yeah,
of blood.
a lot of blood. I loved the body bag in the hallway scene. It was creepy.
It's still creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
That is-
creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
That is one of the creepiest moments of the franchise. I
It
think.
really
Wow.
is.
Yeah.
And when they tried to redo it in the remake, it fell flat to me.
Yeah.
Like that is such a great creepy moment in the whole franchise. And
Yeah.
so this one, and I definitely the whole premise. I mean, I used to have lucid dreams that were fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And I would think I was going to bed, or I would like go to bed, and then I would blink, and
It's
I'd
just
be in a
drugs,
dream.
Tammy.
I know.
It's just drugs. You just
Lots
need a
of
good night's
drugs.
sleep.
All my friends are dead.
Yeah.
You just need sleep, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like in that aspect, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
blink, and I would have like shadow people coming, and it
Sure.
was fucking terrifying, and I would scream and scream and scream, and I never wanted to go to sleep because every time I did, I'd do that, and I'd blink again, and I'd be awake.
Wow.
And I didn't realize I actually felt fucking asleep.
Yeah.
So that aspect is I can identify with because it's fucking terrifying.
That's actually,
Totally.
that story is more interesting than the remake.
With
It
the
is,
remake.
yes.
And it's scarier. It's actually scarier.
Yeah, well, when it happens to you in real life,
Yeah.
when someone's touching your face and whispering things to you, and you
Yeah.
Yeah.
can't move, and you didn't even realize you fell asleep.
Yeah.
So there's like
Fucking
there's
terrifying.
parts of that are relatable then to people.
Yes,
Of like just terrifying dreams.
Yeah.
I mean, who
Coming
hasn't
at you.
had a terrifying nightmare
Yeah.
on occasion? The mom, the scene where the mom's in bed and she has her vodka bottle, and then like grab her bottle. Okay, mom, time for bed.
Vodka mom.
Vodka mom.
I think it's documented. I believe this is documented that the actress herself was pretty much plastered the entire shoot.
That is rad.
So I don't think much of that is acting from what I understand. Yeah.
And she's super way too tan. Like
Yeah.
way too tan for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bathtub scene, I mean, that's an iconic scene too.
Yes,
totally,
in
yeah.
that, and
For
it
sure.
was creepy, and it had the right effect. Being
It did, and it fits with his like he killed children, the pedophile kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
He's coming up between this teen girl's
his
Yeah.
legs,
legs
yeah,
while she's sleeping and comes back down.
and his tongue. He loves
Oh,
the
he
tongue.
tongues things
He
in
tongues things like
every film.
crazy.
Yeah. And Robert Englund can do that creepy little tongue wiggle thing.
Right.
Yeah. It's impressive.
I
Good
mean,
job.
that's like a and each
Good
like
job, bro.
each of them have like their own signature,
Yeah.
thing. And his
Freddy's got tongue.
Freddy's got tongue. That's
and-
his thing.
And even that, there's kind of that iconic scrape against the metal that they
Yeah.
end up using in every film.
Yeah.
That's like fantastic. And
Mhm.
they, like in the remake, again, they screw it up.
They
Yeah.
do.
They just have sparks flying and all sorts of weird
Yeah.
stuff. Like,
It doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And I think Jesse had brought up like the music of the films is great.
Yeah.
Like, all of them except for part two does a callback to the main theme,
Mhm.
but doesn't really use much of the themes. But most of the films have like kind of keep the really good score.
They do, and I going back to Wes Craven's A New Nightmare. That one's they did a different score with that, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Not as much as the original, but I
It's a great score.
I respected what they were doing with the score. I thought it was really cool.
didn't Freddy's Dead have the Goo Goo Dolls?
Oh yeah, the Goo Goo Dolls did 3 songs on Freddy's Dead
Yeah.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
So maybe
throwing that
not
out
so
there.
I
much
mean,
that one, but
It's not enough for my taste, but you know.
They should have done the whole movie.
So my number 2 is Dream Warriors.
Wow. Okay.
Rebel. I know, it's such a rebel.
Yeah.
I love that she's back and she's like getting her psychology degree and
Yeah.
nightmares and stuff.
Mhm.
Like I would want to do that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
after all that happened, I'd be like, I'm gonna fucking learn about that shit and
Yeah.
see what I can do to prevent it.
That was a smart way for a character to go.
Yeah.
I
Right.
think that was cool. Yeah.
I liked that. Larry Fishburne, aka Lawrence Fishburne.
Good old Larry.
Uses Larry like, Lawrence is more dignified. I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
change it. Like
Yeah, he was going by Larry for a minute. Right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Larry for a hot minute.
Yeah.
And I put
His mom calls him Lair Bear.
a spoonful of coffee and Coke make the nightmares go down.
So me and my friends.
That's
So
awesome.
cut to like 7-year-old Shaun and his friends in like the summer would
Eating-
literally like we'd watch it on video and we would like do that Coke like Coca-Cola and a spoonful of coffee
Yeah.
to try to stay up all night.
Yeah.
And we would just stay up. I think we'd make it till like 11 a.m. and then we'd pass out for the rest of the day or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Coffee and Coke.
Yep. Always works. She's just like spooning it, drinking it.
Yeah.
And then that scene with her mom where she's like, go to bed, and then all of a sudden, like, where's my bourbon, bitch?
Yeah. That
And
was
the
fun.
mom is always like, on delay, Kristen, on delay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
on delay. That's how we knew it was the mom.
Mom
And
in,
in part 4.
in 4,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
she was
comes
like,
back.
on delay. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
bitch is back.
Yep.
Right.
And then we knew it was her.
Yeah.
That's her line.
Yeah.
And The room of dead hanging teenagers.
Oh,
that
so
was
good, yeah.
that
That
was
whole
stellar.
opening
I
sequence is
love
fantastic.
that. It is.
They recently, the same cinematographer, just one of those dumb tidbits that I'm really good at adding to the conversation.
Yeah.
The cinematographer of Elm Street 3 reshot the entire opening sequence on an iPhone 11 as like a promo for iPhone.
Really?
I wanna
so
see
you can
that.
watch
That's
it online.
cool.
Yeah.
Did you get Patricia Arquette to be in there?
No. It's just like some random actress, yeah.
That's cool though. I want to see it.
And
Yeah.
I love all the melting shit that happens in this one.
Yeah.
And I do love how they all like have their superpowers when, we have Harry Potter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harry Potter wizard and
In
the
the name
badass
of
chick.
Lorik, Prince of Elves, demon be gone.
And it cracks me up when that one lady, when they're trying, Nancy's like, no, we need to like hypnotize them. We got to do this. And she's
Yeah.
like, no, they're having nightmares because they're guilty about being overtly sexual.
Yeah.
That is why they're having terrible nightmares,
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
16 and they feel
What-
bad about being overtly sexual.
What if they did a brand new Freddy film in the continuity of continuing from Freddy's Dead, where it turns out the teenager was just over sexualized,
That would be awesome.
and it's just them dealing with it.
Just
They're
dealing with their
it.
Yeah.
sexuality.
Yeah, and they get Johnny Depp, they get Patricia Arquette. None of them died; they were just horny and misguided.
Yeah,
I love
that
it.
yeah.
I love it.
that would be a new take on it.
Maybe?
Script that and pitch
Yeah.
it.
We're gonna
Johnny
need-
Depp came back for
Here's
sex.
the
He'd
thing.
come back
Here's
for
the
that.
thing. Could it be any worse than the remake?
No.
Not at
No.
all.
Say
Never.
there you go.
Not at
No.
all.
And the
Yeah.
remake still made like $60 million at the box
Yeah.
office.
Oh god.
And the TV death was probably one of my favorite
Yeah.
deaths.
yeah.
Her, burning herself with a cigarette, trying
Yeah.
to stay awake, and then
Yeah.
she's, her head's in the TV, and
And it's Zsa Zsa Gabor.
oh, I know.
on,
Uh-huh.
like, is it like the Dick Cavett show or something?
Yeah.
And then Freddie is turns into the host.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really liked that, and the Freddy puppet.
Oh, that was.
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
That
That-
one was
the veins
super
coming out of-
cool.
That's
yeah,
messed
it's
up.
amazing.
That
Yeah.
one was fucked up and pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed. That was probably one of my favorite ones
Yeah.
in that one,
Yeah.
besides the TV one.
And I think Dream Warriors too. It was the first time they had an adult male who believed them pretty much from the beginning, or he was.
At least
he was
on their side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. He was
on their
open-minded about, like, Nancy's
Yeah.
like, no, like this, I'm going to tell you something. It's going to
Well,
sound crazy.
And
but
going
it's
into
fucking
the
true.
whole lore of, I mean, that's what introduced the Son of the 100 Maniacs.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, it's all like kind of setting the pace for everything else that follows.
The holy
Which was
water.
cool.
He's like,
Yeah.
I'll bring it right, but here's my driver's license. You keep that.
Yeah.
That was
I'll
cool.
bring back
Yeah.
your cross. Like,
That
I'll
was
bring
a
it
fun
back.
scene.
I promise.
Yeah.
See, that's a moment of introducing some levity. Like,
Yeah.
Not that film needed it,
No.
but stuff like that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my number one is Dream Master.
Nice.
Great film.
I'm
know-
glad more people like recognize that, because I don't know when I think of no, that's what's so cool about it. Like, I don't know. I guess I always assumed that people just really like part 1 and 3. So it's cool that like my favorite is your guys' favorite too, or like top 2 favorites.
Yeah. No, it's a great film.
Okay, I'll tell you why it made it over 3 for me.
Yeah.
Nunchucks.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Of course.
So
I got so excited. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, fucking nunchucks.
want me to like just drill the knife in a little harder for the time I got to hang out with the Elm Street cast. Lisa Wilcox gave me a pair of limited edition
Shut the fuck
little
up.
mini Alice Lives nunchucks.
You serious?
Shut your face.
They're little tiny nunchuck replicas, and they say Alice Lives on it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'll
That
send you a
is-
picture of it later.
Yes, I need to see a picture
She sells
of this.
them on her website, but they don't say Alice Lives. They just say Dream Master on it.
Oh.
Really?
I
So
wanna-
I got the first run.
Christmas,
gift
birthday,
for you.
birthday, anniversary, whatever.
Yeah.
I will.
saying.
It's on the list.
I would like nunchucks. Thank you.
Yeah.
You'll get them.
Oh, the other thing I should mention about part 4 is the opening song.
Oh, it's so good.
Isn't that cool?
The whole-
Performed by
What is it?
Tuesday Night, the actress
Yes.
who plays the new Kristen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the song? Sing it.
It's like the
Can't remember.
darkness strikes
Yeah.
once again.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
that one I think is my favorite soundtrack number is 4
It's good.
out of all. I mean, they're all
Yeah.
minus the Goo Goo Dolls one.
Well, and that's when the Fat Boys did
Oh yeah.
a Ready for Freddy
Right.
And
Yeah.
at the same time, there's this weird story that I didn't know the whole thing about, but Will Smith did as Fresh Prince did Nightmare on My Street.
Yes.
Well, I
know
always
that
thought
one.
they were like a coincidence, but I guess there's a weird backstory where they were both kind of competing to be on the soundtrack.
Oh,
And
weird.
Will Smith either wasn't picked or he kind of did it and like submitted it or whatever
Yeah.
it was. The Fat Boys were the official one, and Will Smith ended up not being picked, but he still did a video for it, but he couldn't use Freddy in it. So it's a weird like Frankenstein monster. Oh, it's so
I
weird.
remember
Like,
They
that.
put it. Didn't they put it out
they
recently?
never it just
Yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
surfaced, but it never like aired because there was some weird like there was some weird thing where like New Line Cinema was going to sue them if they actually released it or whatever.
Yeah.
They didn't want it to compete with the Fat Boys video, which the Fat Boys video and the Dream Warriors video. Have you seen both of those?
I've seen the Fat Boys
They
one.
should be considered canon. I think they should be considered
That's
as,
awesome.
as canon entries in the series.
I have seen them both. I just haven't seen them in a while, but I remember the Fat Boys running around the
Mhm.
house.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
at the end, Freddy wakes up and he has a Freddy teddy bear.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he's like, oh my God, that was a nightmare.
That's cool.
And they have Quicksand in this one,
Yeah.
which in the 80s, it was in everything.
Oh, no.
I
you
don't
were-
know about like
Yeah,
when
you-
I was a kid, I was prepared
Yeah.
to fucking run into
Dude,
quicksand
I
wherever
knew-
I
And
went.
now Quicksand's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
I knew I had a 40% chance of dying in quicksand as a kid. Like I just had to like if you were going to go out in the woods, you were going to end up in quicksand.
Yeah.
Like that was
yeah,
a big thing in the
definitely
80s. Like
I know.
quicksand everywhere you went, or not everywhere you went, but like on everything you saw, it was like
Yeah.
quicksand.
Yeah.
We
I
got to
was
put that in
fucking
the movie.
prepared.
It's kind of like every sitcom had characters get handcuffed together.
Oh yeah.
It happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Combine
I
those
love
two.
the little quicksand nod because
Yeah.
I
And
miss
Freddy
that.
puts on his glasses.
Yeah.
That really is the moment in the entire series where they basically everything after that flips over to as campy as possible.
Where he puts on his 3D
the
glasses.
no. The second he puts on like the sunglasses,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
everything that follows after that is
Yeah.
pretty campy.
The back to Kristen's mom, where she's like, "My friends are dead." No, you're just tired, dear.
Yeah,
No, all my friends are fucking dead. On
Yeah.
delay. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, really?
I know.
All of them have died.
Again with the adults
Yeah.
not believing the kids.
Like,
here's another spin-off idea. You have the cop. You can have this in modern time.
Mm.
You can have the cop who worked for like the Springwood police department, who was following all these mysterious deaths and actually thought it was like a serial killer.
You know, I had that idea.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, because if there's an arson like that, like
Mhm.
I don't know, like that would bring
From,
up
from a
lot
police
of,
officer's perspective.
right.
Yeah.
We were talking
Yeah.
about that. The
and he
other
doesn't
day.
even have to like think that it's like Freddy. You know?
Yeah, he's just
could
going
just-
around doing his job kind of
Yeah.
and maybe
Like-
falls into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. Like, is there one where there's a cop's perspective on something?
Or just
such
do an
as
episode
that?
of Law and Order.
That would be
You know what I mean?
hilarious. Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
a kid folded in half.
Yeah. It's just they.
What? I hate this
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And the workout chick, I love her. She's like, I don't spend 2 hours a day working out
Yeah.
to have Freddie beat me.
Yeah.
And then he fucking murders her good.
Yeah.
Like that was gross and creepy and fucking perfect.
I didn't even know what a Roach Motel was until like a decade after that.
That's awesome.
Like,
So I don't know.
it was so gross
That's
and
cool.
creepy and amazing.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Ugh,
that was probably
it's disturbing.
my favorite one in that movie.
Yeah.
And very disturbing. And I love that it was the girl that was the workout one.
Oh yeah.
Because usually it's the guy
Yeah.
and he's pumping iron and she's she's in there like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's got her tunes on. She's just
Yeah.
going at it.
I think it just goes back to they just always had like these two movies specifically 3 and 4. They just had really good relatable characters.
They really
Definitely.
did.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think the best entries in the Friday the 13th series were the most like relatable characters.
Mhm.
You know,
And the cast just gelled well together too.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of going off that. I forget her name, but I read that it was the same casting director did 1 through 5.
Oh really? Yeah,
So, and then after that, it was different casting directors for 6 and New Nightmare and
sure.
the remake.
And the one we won't talk about anymore.
Yeah,
Oh, and that
the one we're gonna break. We're gonna break that disc, right?
We're gonna
Yes.
break it at the end.
Yeah.
Oh. And I love Alice's transformation.
Yeah.
How she's
Yeah,
like
that was cool. Yeah.
quiet and meek
Yeah.
and shy, and then every time someone would die, she would like
Get a little bit of their powers.
get
yeah.
their powers, and then again with her badass
Yeah.
nunchucking,
Yeah.
and you know, she was just a total badass. And then I loved her little, you know, she's giving herself a badass makeover, and like
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
Alice
that
is
was
my
really cool.
favorite.
It's
sure.
a good version of, they always do that version of in like, it happened in all the 90s like teen comedies of like, they have the super hot girl who they put glasses on her and they
Right.
put a sweater on her,
Uh-huh.
and all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's like, oh, why would you ever date her, Todd?
Yeah.
It's
She's
always
so
Todd.
gross.
She's from the other side of the tracks. But like you watch Lisa Wilcox at the beginning, and she's like meek little girl, and then by the end she's like
fucking
got
badass.
total awesome 80s like jeans on
Yeah.
and the jacket
Yeah,
and stuff.
all
Yeah.
of it.
Oh, it's so cool.
That
Yeah. And it helps that she's a good actress in that.
She is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number one.
Well, Shaun, thanks for being here.
Oh man, this was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, our Bloody Marys are dead, and so are we. Drink in moderation and enjoy life and death. Catch you next time.
Bye bye.
Bloody Mary Podcast.